From splitting a restaurant bill to paying rent, sending money to your family, to your friends, and opening a bank account has become normal daily activities for everyone in Canada and the States.
Very true.
Canada has a highly concentrated banking system dominated by 5 banks.
Yes.
And the system such as Interac allows Canadians to send money quickly between participating financial institutions. How often do you use digital platforms such as Interac instead of cash and check?
I'll be honest, in today's day and age, everything is digital. So I'd say I use it maybe even every day. For my financial uses, I use it every day. Interact, I do that every day, I'll be honest.
What do you like most about using these platforms for payment? The
I'll be
features.
honest, the best feature about it is how easy it is. Like from a child to an elderly person, it's just the easiest for everyone to use. It's very user-centered, if I'd say that.
Do you think Canada digital payment platform is easier to use comparable to other nations of the world? If you have an idea of what I'm talking about, or if you have used other digital platforms, maybe in the States or Europe?
Me personally, I haven't been to the States as much. I've maybe been 1 or 2 times. And if I were to compare it between that and here, I'd say it's a lot more easier to use here. Maybe it's because I'm from here. I'd say it's a lot more easier to use here in Canada.
Do you sometimes find it very strange when you tell people that, oh, I'm going to send money using email?
Yeah.
I, for once, find it very weird when I first came to Canada. I'm going to use my email to send money. Do you find it strange sometimes?
I find it strange sometimes. When you tell someone you're using your email, it's a little weird. They think, oh no, just use Interact, you know? It's a lot more easier. But yeah, I find it very weird sometimes to use it.
Okay, Canada banking system is dominated by a small number of major banks.
Mhm.
Do you think that makes things easier to create a nationwide payment system, or it's kind of in that competition?
I feel like since it's such a small number of companies, I feel it makes it more easier because everyone uses it. So it's kind of connected to everyone in a way. So it makes it a lot more easier to move money from one place to the other.
How do you also find views around making it to be beyond just the big 5 and then allowing more banking institutions in Canada and in such a way that it makes it more easier for people to decide which bank do they want to use?
I feel like having a monopoly on just the big 5 or however many they are, I feel like it's okay to allow smaller banks in as well. So that if you don't want any of the big companies, maybe you want to use a smaller company. I feel like that should be normal. I feel like they should all be connected in a way, making it easier for everybody.
Just like the credit union, that people also have those options as well.
Exactly.
Would you rather have a highly concentrated banking system that makes services more seamless or more competitive system with many smaller banks?
Me personally,
Yep.
I'd say I'd prefer it more competitive with a lot more banks. That way you have more choices.
Do you think having a smaller major banks give Canadian better digital platforms systems, or does it reduce competition?
It might reduce competition, I believe.
And how is that going to be?
Well, having all the banks, it reduces the competition because there's all these different choices. So everyone gets a little bit of the piece of the cake, if you'd say. Everyone gets a little piece. That way it's less competitive for everybody.
And what worries you the most? Sometimes when you use your platforms, is it like the internet or the fraud or is the privacy? What worries you the most whenever you use this system? Sometimes when you send money, the other party is saying, okay, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I've not received it. What kind of bother you the most?
Me, I'd say I'm 22 years old, right? But I'd say I have an old heart. So I prefer physical interactions with cash. So whenever I use online information, online stuff, it makes me a little bit worried. I feel like the internet is the most worrying part about me. So say you send something and it doesn't get there right away, you start worrying, you start panicking. That's the biggest worry for me. I like physical cash.
Should bank be doing more to protect people from digital payment scam
Yes.
and fraud?
Yes, I believe it's important. They give you their money. We give the banks their money. So I feel that it's up to them to make it more protective for us, making it so that there's no chance that our money can get stolen. That's why we put our money in banks, to keep it safe.
And what would be your advice?
In this day and age, use any tool you can to make sure your money is safe. I'd say that.
And as Canada becomes more cashless, do you think people should still have easy access to cash?
Cash is king at the end of the line. I'd say Becoming cashless is not the worst thing, but always make sure you're able to put hands on your own property. It's going towards more digital stuff, digital owning stuff. I feel like having like physical cash, physical property is always very important.
With that view in mind, you might not necessarily want to support some other digital currency like stable coins.
Hmm.
Or maybe I could
Yeah,
be wrong.
yeah,
And why I'm saying that is that some other countries, including the United States, kind of welcoming, and not just only welcoming, having, policy, enacting laws around stable coins, Bitcoin, and the
yeah.
likes. If Canada introduced one,
Mhm.
is this something you would like to see?
So, me personally, I'd say I'm not the most because when you use online coins, say Bitcoin, it's a gamble kind of. You'd say it's a gamble because at one moment it can go down or it can go up. It's like playing a gamble. It's like playing the lottery. Either you win or you lose very much. It's very risky.
Do you also feel that people need a little bit of maybe education around it? I don't want to invest in anything I don't know nothing about. Like,
Exactly.
I really wanted to understand whatever I'm putting my money on,
Yes.
and because I've not really taken time to even study it,
Hmm.
so I'm really hesitant. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And someone was saying that, oh, stable coins is like, okay, you imagine you want to transfer money to Hong Kong
Hmm.
and you need some international transfer system
Yeah.
and you need a lot of regulations around it because now the Bank of Canada or maybe the Bank of England, if you're in UK, they're going to ask you several questions. There are a lot of regulations around it. But if you
Exactly.
use crypto or you use Bitcoin,
Yeah.
like the money is just transferred right away and you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about any regulations, anybody asking you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And what do you say to that?
I feel like they make it that way so that a lot more people will go towards that route. I feel like they want to go more towards the digital currency. I feel like that's the universal push we're getting towards universal currency. And if it's for you, it's fine. But it's natural to be hesitant, and being hesitant is actually safer. So before you put your money in stuff like that, the first thing you have to do is study, study, study. Make sure you know what you're putting money into. That way you're knowledgeable and that way you're not doing something that you're not knowledgeable about.
And that goes into, same traditional digital platforms like
Yes.
Interac and the likes.
Exactly.
Sometimes you send you an email and like,
Yes.
okay, you click on a link. Before you click, make sure that you are sure of what
Exactly.
you're clicking. And
Exactly.
what will be your final message
That's
to
exactly
all
true.
Canadians?
My last final message, it's a weird time nowadays. So be safe, do what you know. If you don't know it, study and make sure you know what you're doing.
Thank you so much, buddy. You have amazing advice.
Thank you very much.